All right, welcome to The Explainer. In the world of enterprise AI, we've got all these incredible, powerful tools, but who's actually conducting them? So today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest challenges facing modern businesses, agent orchestration, and how you can turn all that AI chaos into a beautiful symphony.
For a lot of big companies, that promise of AI, it's come with a pretty tough reality. Instead of everything running smoothly, they're actually dealing with this new kind of digital chaos, where every new AI tool just adds another complex layer to manage. And look, this isn't just a hunch. It is a very real and very expensive problem.
Yeah, an expensive problem. And it has a massive price tag. Just get a load of this number. Accenture says the annual cost of tech debt, just in the US, is a jaw-dropping $2.41 trillion. Trillion! But here's the real kicker, the catch-22, right? AI is a huge cause of this debt, but it's also probably the only key to solving it.
And that right there brings us to what we're calling the enterprise AI paradox. We're deploying all these brilliant tools to fix things, but since they don't talk to each other, what we end up with is intelligence stuck in silos and systems that are totally fragmented. So the result? It's actually more complexity, not less. Crazy, right? So to get ourselves out of this mess, we first have to really understand the key players involved. Okay, so it all kicks off with a really critical distinction. And that's the difference between AI agents and agentic AI. I know they sound almost the same, but getting their roles straight is absolutely the first step to taming all this chaos.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the AI agent. Just think of these as your digital specialists. They're the doers. An agent is basically a piece of software built to do one specific thing on its own. Like a virtual customer service rep that closes a ticket, or maybe a digital assistant that handles vendor contracts. Super focused.
Now, agentic AI, that's a whole different ballgame. It operates at a much higher level. It's the system that's actually governing all the agents. It's not just doing one task. No, it's managing a whole workflow to hit a big business goal. Think about, say, an AI-powered system that coordinates the care team, the pharmacy, and the transport, all to make sure a patient gets discharged smoothly and safely. So let's just boil this down, make it super simple. Agents, they're the doers. They execute tasks. Agentic AI, that's the governor, the system that coordinates the whole shebang from end to end. And this difference is so important because as companies start deploying thousands, maybe tens of thousands of these doers,
Well, they run smack into a new and really critical question. You've got all these incredibly talented individual musicians, right? But who's conducting the orchestra? Who is making sure they all play in harmony to create a beautiful symphony instead of just a bunch of noise?
Well, the answer is orchestration. It's that missing piece of the puzzle that turns all that potential chaos from having a ton of agents into real harmony.
And this quote from UiPath just nails it. Agentic orchestration is the conductor. It's not just about managing one-off tasks. It's about making sure every single action, whether it's from an AI or a person, is perfectly timed and perfectly aligned with the company's most important strategic goals. So, okay, what does this actually look like in the real world? Agentic orchestration is really about the coordinated management of a hybrid workforce. And that means you've got your AI agents, you've got your simpler automation bots, and you've got people, all of them working together to pull off complex goals intelligently and this is key, safely. And believe me, this is a huge evolution from what we had before. You see, traditional orchestration was all about locking people and simple, rule-based bots into these really rigid, predefined workflows. Agentic orchestration, though, is built for this new world. It adds that critical layer of governance for autonomous AI agents that can actually think and adapt on the fly. Let's make this super concrete with a simple employee onboarding example. Okay, step 1. An agent goes and grabs the new hire's info from Workday. Then the orchestrator is smart enough to route an approval request straight to the manager, right inside Microsoft Teams where they live all day. The manager clicks approve, and boom, the orchestrator kicks off a second agent to go provision all the IT gear over in ServiceNow. This is just a perfect little picture of a seamless hybrid workflow in action. See how it all connects?
Now, getting to this point, it takes more than just buying new tech. It really forces us to completely rethink the nature of our workforce, how we measure success, and frankly, our entire technical architecture from the ground up.
So the first big mental shift is all about how we design our workforce. It's just not human versus agent anymore. That's old thinking. Instead, it's about playing to each of their strengths. You know, all those high repetition, data-heavy tasks with super clear rules, perfect for an AI agent. But anything that needs empathy, nuance, or some real judgment, that's where you need a human.
And of course, as our workforce evolves, our metrics have to evolve right along with it. The old KPIs, they just don't cut it anymore. We need to start measuring the success of these new hybrid teams. Like, how many hours of human capacity are we actually freeing up? Are we making decisions faster? What's the escalation rate from an agent to a human? These are the numbers that tell you if your intelligent automation is really working. Now, from an architectural standpoint, this orchestration can happen in a couple of ways. First, there's what's called vertical orchestration. This is where you manage agents, but they're stuck inside a single platform silo, like inside Salesforce, for example. But the real game changer, the truly transformative power, comes from horizontal orchestration. This is the stuff that breaks down those walls between systems. It manages agents across the entire company to create a true enterprise-wide intelligence.
Of course, you can't build any of this on a shaky foundation of tech debt. It just won't work. Accenture actually has a pretty smart way to think about this called the PAID framework. It basically helps you decide whether to prioritize, address, investigate, or document your tech debt based on its real business value. That way, you're spending your time fixing the problems that actually matter.
And finally, governance. This part is absolutely non-negotiable. When you've got autonomous agents running around, you have to have ironclad guardrails in place. That means having humans in the loop for the really important decisions. It means keeping detailed, auditable logs of every single action for total transparency. And it means making sure every process is compliant with regulations like GDPR or SOX. Look, this isn't about trying to slow AI down. It's about building the trust you need to actually speed it up safely. So the big question is, how do you actually bring this to life in your own organization? Well, here's a 5-step blueprint you can use to design a successful agent orchestration strategy right from the ground up.
All right, let's walk through this blueprint together. Number 1, anchor your agents directly to the systems that own the data they need. Put them where the data lives. 2, centralize your cross-system logic. Use a horizontal orchestrator for any workflow that has to jump between different platforms. 3, architect for change. That means prioritizing systems that are modular, interoperable, and have open APIs. 4, govern where you control. Make sure your orchestration happens where you can actually apply your enterprise-wide policies and rules. And finally, number 5, design for your user's workflow. Surface all these agent interactions in the tools your employees are already using every single day, like Teams or Slack.
You know, when you really adopt these principles, what happens is a profound shift in how work gets done. The whole user experience, it's just not about navigating screens and clicking a million times anymore. It becomes about simply stating what you want, maybe having a quick conversation, and then just trusting that this orchestrated system of agents will go and take the right action for you. It's a whole new world.
And that really leaves us with one final and I think crucial question. The choice you have to make isn't whether to adopt AI, it's how. So are you just building a collection of smart but disconnected tools? Or are you strategically engineering a truly intelligent, truly orchestrated enterprise? The answer to that question? Well, that's what's going to define the leaders of the next decade.